You are welcome to African Tale by Favor. Please like and subscribe. Please subscribe.
In a bustling city of Lagos, known for its skyscrapers and vibrant nightlife, there lived a lady named Olivia. Olivia was a dual citizen whose father was a Nigerian and his mother was from Texas, USA. Olivia was sparkling beautiful, with long flowing hair, eyes that sparkled like emerald, and a smile that could melt the coolest of hearts. But beneath her enchanting beauty, Olivia harbored a secret in her heart. She despised hard work and craved a life of luxury. Like she had this always enchanting word, luxury or nothing. In the same city lived a wealthy businessman whose name is Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson was the owner of multi-successful companies and was known for his kindness and generosity. Despite his success, Mr. Johnson felt an emptiness in his life. He longed for a companionship and dreamt of finding a lovely wife. One fateful evening, Mr. Johnson attended a grand party hosted by a friend, with the room filled with laughter and music and the clinking of glasses. As he mingled with the guests, his eyes fell upon Olivia. She was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, and he felt an instant connection. Olivia, noticing Mr. Johnson's admiring gaze, saw an opportunity for a luxury lifestyle because she has heard a lot of things about Mr. Johnson in the city. Mr. Johnson approached Olivia with a warm smile. "Hello, I am Mr. Johnson. May I have the pleasure of knowing your name?" he asked. Olivia responded with a dazzling smile. "I'm Olivia. It's lovely to meet you too." They spent the evening talking and laughing, and by the end of the party, Mr. Johnson was completely smitten. Mr. Johnson and Olivia began seeing each other regularly. He showered her with gifts, took her to the finest restaurants, and introduced her to his lavish lifestyle. Olivia played her role perfectly, pretending to be sweet and caring, while inwardly reveling in the luxury Mr. Johnson provided. The whirlwind romance quickly led to a proposal. Mr. Johnson, blinded by fair skin and the beauty of Olivia, proposed to her. With the magnificent diamond ring, Olivia eagerly accepted, seeing her dreams of wealthy and luxury life coming true. Their wedding was a grand affair held in a luxurious adorned with flowers and chandeliers. Olivia wore a stunning gown and Mr. Johnson couldn't take his eyes off her. After the wedding, Mr. Johnson and Olivia moved into a sprawling mansion in the city of Lagos named Lekki. The house was filled with the finest art, plush furnishing, and all the luxurious one could imagine. Mr. Johnson was overjoyed, believing he had found his happiness ever after. Olivia, on the other hand, was already planning how to enjoy her life full of luxury. Business venture, eager to see Olivia happy and productive, decided to start a business for her. Mr. Johnson invested in a chic boutique in the heart of the city, believing it would give Olivia a sense of purpose. "This is all for you, my love," he said, handing her the keys to the store. Olivia smiled sweetly, but deep down she had no intention of working hard. Olivia hired a team to run the boutique while she spent her days shopping, lunching with friends, and indulging in spa treatments. She ignored the boutique's needs and squandered the earnings on her extravagant lifestyle. Within months, the boutique was losing money and eventually had to close. Mr. Johnson still believed in Olivia's potential. He decided to give her another chance. He opened another business for her, hoping she would take an interest in running it. "This is another opportunity, my dear," he said, his voice filled with hope, but Olivia's disinterest persisted. She let the business run itself into the ground while she continued her lavish lifestyle. The business under Olivia's negligent management. She spent funds on personal luxuries and paid no attention to the business needs. Employees were left without guidance and customers left. The business faced financial ruin and had to close down. Despite his friends warning Mr. Johnson, he couldn't give up on his wife Olivia. He decided to give her a final chance and opened another provision store for her. "This is your last chance, Olivia," he said gently. "Make it count." Olivia promised to do better, but her actions didn't match her words. She continued to be irresponsible and extravagant, leading to the fall of the provision shop. The downfall of the provision shop was swift. Olivia's lack of interest and her consistent spending on luxury items drained the business resources, and customers lost trust, and it soon had to close just like her previous businesses. One stormy night, as Mr. Johnson was driving home from a very busy day at work, his car skidded in the wet road and crashed into the tree. He was rushed to the hospital with severe injuries. When Olivia, the wife, received the news, her first thought was not of concern of the opportunities, but Johnson's incapacitation couldn't bring her. Mr. Johnson lay in the hospital bed surrounded by machines and doctors. He was unconscious, fighting for his life. Olivia visited him once, only to confirm that he was unable to manage his affairs. With a cold determination, she began plotting her next move. Olivia saw her chance to escape. While Mr. Johnson was still in the hospital, she sold all Mr. Johnson's businesses, liquidated his assets, and sold his luxurious cars, collected the money, and prepared to flee to Texas, leaving Mr. Johnson with nothing but his hospital bills. With bags packed and a fortune in hand, Olivia boarded a plane to the US. He left no guilt or remorse as she left Mr. Johnson and her old life behind. In her new country, she rented a lavish apartment and continued her extravagant lifestyle, spending the stolen money freely. Olivia revealed her newfound freedom. She bought designer's clothes, dined in the finest restaurants, and threw lavish parties. She made new friends who admired her wealth and beauty, unaware of the dark secret behind her fortune. Back home, Mr. Johnson's sister Emily took over his care. Emily was kind and devoted, nursing her brother back to health. She was devastated by Olivia's betrayal but focused on helping Mr. Johnson recover. Slowly under her care, he began to regain his strength. When Mr. Johnson finally regained unconscious, Emily had break the devastating news to him. Olivia sold everything and disappeared. She said gently, her voice filled with sorrow. Mr. Johnson was heartbroken and overwhelmed by the loss, but he knew he had to find a way to move forward. Determined to not let Olivia's betrayal define his life, Mr. Johnson decided to rebuild from scratch. With Emily's unwavering support, he started planning his comeback. He knew it would be a long and challenging journey, but he was ready to face it head up. The little money he had left, Mr. Johnson opened a small shop selling handmade goods. He poured his heart and soul into the business, working tirelessly day and night. His dedication and hard work soon paid off, and the shop began attracting loyal customers. As Mr. Johnson's shop gained popularity, he expanded his offerings and hired more staffs. The community admires his readiness and quality of his product. Slowly but surely, Mr. Johnson started to rebuild his fortune and his reputation. Meanwhile, Olivia's money began to run out. Her extravagant lifestyle quickly drained her funds, and she found herself struggling to maintain her luxurious habits. She realized too late that she didn't have the skill or knowledge to earn a living. As Olivia's financial situation worsened, she became desperate. Her new friends abandoned her when they realized she was no longer wealthy. She struggled to pay her bills and maintain her high-end lifestyle, feeling more and more isolated and alone. In her desperation, Olivia sought quick ways to make money. She met a group of shady individuals who suggested robbing wealthy homes. They promised her quick riches and an escape for her financial troubles. Blinded by her need for money, Olivia agreed to join them. On the night of her first robbery, Olivia was nervous but determined. She and her accomplices broke into a luxurious mansion. But things quickly went wrong. The alarm system was triggered and the police arrived before they could escape. In the chaos, Olivia was caught red-handed with the stolen goods. Olivia was arrested and taken to jail. Her beautiful face and tearful pleas couldn't save her from the consequences of her action. The trial was swift and the judge sentenced her to several years in prison for theft and conspiracy. Olivia was left to face the harsh reality of her choice. Life in prison was hard for Olivia. She had to follow strict rules and do chores she never imagined doing in her life. She missed her luxurious lifestyle but knew she had no one to blame but herself. She remembered all the opportunities and businesses that she had had and that she threw into the dash bin. The reflection as the days turned into months, Olivia had a lot of time to think. She regretted betraying Mr. Johnson, her husband, and wasting all the opportunities he gave her. She realized that true happiness doesn't come from money or luxury, but from love and hard work. Back home, Mr. Johnson's life had changed for better. His new business was thriving and he was happy again. He found joy in the simple things and valued the people who stood by him. Emily, his sister, who had been by Johnson's side through his darkest time, became more than just a sister. She was his best friend and companion. They shared a deep bond, and Mr. Johnson felt grateful for her unwavering support. Mr. Johnson received news about Olivia. She had been arrested and was serving time in prison. Though he felt sad for her, he knew he had to move on and focus on his own life. Despite everything, Mr. Johnson decided to forgive Olivia. He understood that holding on to anger would only hurt him more. He sent a letter to Olivia wishing her well and hoping she would find a way to turn her life around. Receiving Mr. Johnson's letter in prison was a turning point for Olivia. She was touched by his kindness and began to work on changing her life. She participated in rehabilitation programs and started helping others in prison. After serving her time, Olivia was released from prison. She decided to start over and live a humble life. She found a small job and began to rebuild herself from scratch. She understood now that true wealth comes from within and vowed to live a life of honesty and hard work. The end. Mr. Johnson found happiness and success through his resilience and the support of his loved ones. He was able to build his business because his business was within and not just the physical structures. While Olivia learned the hard way that a life of greed and deceit leads only to downfall, both started new chapters in their lives with valuable lessons learned.